I'm having a tough time with this conversation about the glass being half full or the glass being half empty. And I'm being pulled in this direction of who cares what it is. The glass is at half. And I'm having a hard time having these conversations with many people, especially in spaces where you have to produce a result, where your perspective means more than your actual work, right? Your potential or mindset actually means more than being consistent, and having a hard time dealing with this continuous argument about whose outlook is right rather than giving credence to the work that's actually being done. The glass being half full is a great outlook on life. My mom has that particular outlook. She is very positive, right? She's always going to find the silver lining. She's always going to talk about better days and things of that nature, which is great. That's not necessarily always my outlook, but if it keeps her in the game, if it keeps her in this life, then we love it, right? And I can say the same for the opposite, right? I have some people in my life, including myself, that, right, it's more of a realistic point of view. It can be categorized as pessimistic. Pessimistic is not the same as realist. But I'm having a tough time finding people that align with being realistic. Right now, it's about being optimistic or pessimistic, but no one wants to be realistic. Being optimistic is still saying what could or should. And then being pessimistic is still saying what could or should. And I'm having a hard time having this conversation with people because I only want to talk about what is. And the reason why this is heavy on my heart is because we're constantly focused on the wrapping of the package, but we never want to talk about that the box itself is empty, right? You'd be completely upset if Amazon wrapped all of your gifts with a bow on top, but every time you order something from Amazon, it was empty, right? And their excuse was, well, we wanted to make it look good. We wanted to make it feel good. We wanted to create this feeling. What does that do to you in that moment? It paralyzes whatever you had planned for what you just ordered. And that is a problem that I'm currently having, the problem that I want to discuss, especially to create this new line of realistic, because it's not necessarily a new line. I just feel like I'm outnumbered, especially in spaces I have to collaborate with others in, where we're so focused on delivery that we never focus on what's inside. We never focus on what's inside. And it pisses me off, if we're going to sit here and be transparent. It's pissing me off because both sides, being optimistic or pessimistic, never want to talk about what is. The realistic part is this person did pass away. What are you going to do about it? Right? You did lose your job. What are you going to do about it? Right? We can sit here and argue about, well, this should have happened for me or this could have happened for me, but it's not happening. It's not happening. And it very much seems like there is only a small percentage of people that toe the line in between of what is and what I can or cannot do. Can meaning the ability to do something. We've done a great job in America of solely focusing on the potential of a thing, where we never talk about what something is. I see that especially in sports, right? For all the people that are watching this and they watch sports, at some point you have to deal with this particular draft pick about what they are currently producing, right? And it doesn't take very long to decide whether someone is going to be good or going to be bad. Why? Because you have to take what is and then talk about the outlook, right? You have to be able to talk to this person about what they are or are not contributing and see how they answer it. And the part that's upsetting me, the part that I see in many industries, is that we constantly want to have a conversation about the outlook of a result rather than the actual result. Because here's the thing, the result makes you deal with the current situation, and that might not be comfortable for anyone in the discussion, right? Whether between you and your company, you and your friends, you and your family, no one wants to talk about what is, because talking about what is means you have to deal with it currently. And that's the part that's upsetting me, is because being optimistic lets you put it to the side, right? It will get better, but you won't do anything today to make it better, right? That is optimism for me, right? And I hope someone resonates with that. Being pessimistic is now something that's not happening, but you're not doing anything to create what you want to happen. Realistic is, this is what has happened and this is what I can or cannot do. And there is no longer any emotional fuel in being a realist, right? For both sides of the spectrum, you can pull from this emotional gas tank almost to get you through the next day emotionally. But staying in this analogy, nothing is getting done. So what good does staying emotionally tapped in mean if there's never going to be an action that causes you to do something? Doesn't matter, right? And it sucks to hear it in that way, right? It sucks because the delivery seems a little harsh, but for all of my realists out there, finally a breath of fresh air. Who cares about your perspective or outlook? Let's focus on what was done and make a decision based off of what was done. You may feel bad for so many different things, but guess what? It was done. What are you going to do about what was done, right? And a lot of people are not going to like this type of tone or delivery, but that is square one. That is square one. What are you going to do about the situation that you are in? What are you going to do about what has happened to you, right? When we start to have these harder conversations that start to go into abuse and assault and manipulation, the answer still is, what are you going to do? Because I use this analogy all the time when I had to do coaching or like leadership talks at different jobs or different mentor groups. If you're in a pit, right? I want you to imagine that you have popped your tire and now you ended up in a ditch and your phone is broken. So you're screaming for help, right? You got your blinker lights on, right? You got the tire screech tracks behind you, right? Good imagination, right? Let's say you're right off the highway and you're screaming for help. You're screaming for help. There are so many things that happen in the human mind that we witness on a day-to-day basis that I'm expressing my frustration with. There are so many people that are going to holler for help, help. My car's in the ditch. It's total. I need to get out of here. And then when help comes, we're trying to dictate how help should come, right? The tow truck comes and now you're saying, don't pull my car out like that. You're the person in trouble. And what's happening, right, in this made up story is we're allowing the emotions to override what is. I thought you said you wanted to get out of the ditch. You may not like how you get out of the ditch, but I thought the goal was to get out of the ditch, right? We do that absolutely all the time. And we demonize people that try to help us, but when they don't help us the way that we want to help, we want them to help us. We cry when there's no help. And we all can agree that in this scenario, the car should not be in this ditch, right? And we can all say, you know what? At least you have your life, right? You have your life. You got out of this accident unscathed, right? Et cetera, et cetera. We can have the pessimistic, we can have the optimistic. But what happened is the car's in the ditch. And there's potentially something you could have done to not be in this ditch, right? You could have been paying attention to the road, right? You didn't have to be on your phone, right? There's so many things that we have control of that can prevent something like this. But then let's go a little bit deeper into that realistic thing. Now that I'm in the ditch, I don't necessarily dictate how I get out of said ditch. That is the realistic point of view. Now that something has happened, what are we going to do about it? But I'm surrounded by people that don't care that the car is in the ditch. We just simply care that, oh my gosh, how did we get here? Who cares? I'm in a ditch. Who cares? I'm in trouble, right? We have so many different, how should I say this? We have so many different non-negotiables. There it is. We have so many different non-negotiables when talking about our assistance. I'm going to say it just like that. When it comes to assisting me, this is how you assist me. And there are so many times where you're not necessarily the most qualified person to talk about what can or cannot assist you. You may not be the person, who can dictate how you receive help. You're the one in trouble, right? It's a common frustration with the medical field, where they have different patients that come in and say, I can only take this, I can only take that, and this better be this many milligrams. You're making it harder to help you, right? And what I'm witnessing is we're doing that, but with the outlook on life. We're trying to police people's outlook and perception and perspective so hard that we never, ever want to deal with, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. That's the first thing. That's the first thing is acceptance, right? You don't have to be super spiritual to understand that the very first step to recovery is acceptance, because it takes the emotion out of it and it allows your brain to function at its high capacity, trying to find a solution how you get out of the ditch. But the very first thing is admitting, I'm sick. I'm in trouble. I don't have it all together. I do need help. And the next step is not to dictate how qualified help, I'm going to put it just like that, how qualified help helps you. That has been my biggest frustration, is there are so many people that I've come across that will admit they need help, but now I'm only allowed to help you in a certain way. And if I don't help you in that way, now all of a sudden I am the problem. No, honey, you're in trouble, right? Imagine being in a ditch and you're arguing with the tow truck. You could have been out of the ditch by now, right? If you can sit there and say that the car's total, right? You can sit there and acknowledge all these different things, but the next step is actually doing it. And that's the part that frustrates me about being in the middle of this pull about realism is, who cares if the glass is half full or glass is half empty? That part of the mindset is not needed in this moment. That's needed with consistency. But in the reality, in the grand scope of things, we need to do something. We need to become consistent. But I've literally had an argument about my perspective and mindset about being a realist. And being a realist is not warm and fuzzy. It's not happy. Being a realist is admitting this is what it is. And to a great degree, it is an anchor. It keeps you from floating too high. It keeps your expectation realistic. You don't sit here and put all of your eggs in one basket that quite literally is going nowhere, and you know it's going nowhere, but just maybe there is a bright side to this. But there's not, right? And the same thing for people that are pessimistic. It'll never get better. Of course it won't. You won't allow it to get better. But being realistic is taking that sentence and kind of cutting it in half, right? Adding a semicolon. This is either good or bad, but what is next? What is the next step? And I've had this argument with a leader of mine about them wanting me to align more like themselves, but that's not how I got here in the first place. In terms of saving my own life and putting down the alcohol, right, and putting down bad situations and relationships, right, all of those different things. What saved my life was being a realist. Is I'm not okay. I need help and I need to get out. And now I officially don't care how those things happen, but the current situation that I'm in is bad enough for me to admit, not only am I the problem, but I'm also the solution. It's a two-part sentence. It is an and statement. Me and my friends like to talk about. It's an and statement. It is bad, but it can get better if I do X, Y, and Z. But I'm seeing that the pessimism talk, the optimism talk is just paralyzing. Nothing's getting done. Your life is going nowhere, right? The dreams and aspirations that you have are not coming towards you in this kind of imaginative, hopeful type of way. It's still where it is. And I guess the part that's vexing me so much and why I want this to be episode 1 is time is ticking regardless. Time is ticking regardless. You can't afford to be paralyzed. You can't afford to see if something's going to work out in your favor. You need to put the work in to see if the favor is there, right? You need to focus on getting more eggs, right? So that is my perspective on this episode is who cares how I should sound or how I should sound, what the delivery should be. When I order something from Amazon, if the box is super pretty and there's nothing in it, I just got nothing. If it's raining real bad and the box comes in and it's soaked, but I open the box and my product is fine, I throw the box out and I enjoy what I just ordered. So it's not about delivery. It's just not about delivery. The delivery triggers your inabilities and insecurities and the things that you aren't, right? Tone and delivery, that's all that is just an emotional connection to it. But what's more important is about what is or is not happening so that there can be a step in the right direction. I had this talk with my leader, one of my leaders, how I should change my outlook. And I bucked so hard that I feel bad probably about 5% because it was a little too rough, but I'm not interested in being super smoothed out. That's just not in my personality. It wasn't in my father's personality. It's not in me to make sure every single message that I deliver has enough butter and sugar on it to be digestible. It is what it is. If it's not working, you're the one beating your head on this wall, on this brick wall. And the conversation that I was having with the leader was not only should I change the outlook, but I should change my entire leadership style. And I'm expressing this part, especially to those that are trying to be successful in their careers and they do have mentors and they do have coaching. Keep a strong ear out for people that can either see your potential and know that it may be, I'm going to say it may be greater than theirs. Keep an eye out for people with the insecurity to speak from a place of hurt or insecurity. And then also keep an ear out for manipulation. Not to say that any of those things were happening, but they can happen subconsciously, right? Someone can easily be influencing you subconsciously. It's not malicious all the time, right? Please look at manipulation from a definitive point of view, not this connotation where I'm being manipulated. This person has a life too. They have traumas too. It helps shape who they are and their perspective. And in that moment, they could be absolutely innocent in trying to help you navigate this life. You take everything, including what I'm saying, with a grain of salt. But that man was trying to, in that moment, it felt like he was trying to completely move me from what I am to what he was, so that there was a stronger shared connection. I get that. That sounds pretty cool, right? You're a good person. But the reason things are going well is because of the difference, right? There is a high and a low. There is a good cop and a bad cop, right? There is a balance. But be mindful of that type of communication because your uniqueness is what got you here in the first place. Your outlook is what got you here in the first place, good or bad. Your perspective is what got you here in the first place. And if you can sit here and be real with yourself and say, you know what, this person has a point. I may need to make a tweak, adapt a little bit, then you do so. But what I'm often seeing is this double down where no, we're only going to be optimistic. We're never going to deal with what is, because as much as we do need hope, hope is one of many emotional states, one of many spiritual gifts that is a balancer, right? It is hope and faith, because faith would cause you to do something. Being hopeful is simply the preparation of faith. I hope that is making so much sense. Being hopeful does not cause change in the reality. It causes change in yourself. It causes change in your mind. It causes change in your heart. But the next part about hope is that it becomes faith, right? The change in your mindset would promote or motivate or excite you to take a step of faith. I'm sitting here surrounded by people that are arguing whether we should be hopeful or not. We're not taking any steps. So now there's a real frustration building inside of me and many of those that are listening. We're not doing anything. So I really don't care about perspective or outlook or anything. We just need to try something. We just need to do something. We need to just take some steps, something, right? It's being in the ditch and figuring out the best way to call for help. At this point, that don't matter. Call for help. Right? It's being in the ditch and seeing the tow truck and the guy has his hand out towards you trying to pull you out. And you're saying, no, you can't pull me out like this. You got to pull me out like that. You're the one in the ditch. It's just time to get out. And I feel that very strongly, this sense of urgency to do, because our emotional state has been commoditized. I believe that's the word I'm trying to use, right? The emotional state, outlooks and mindset has become an industry where all of a sudden that's all you need, right? I feel like we're at the most absolute state is that's all you need is the mindset. And that is incorrect. You do need a mindset, but you also need to go do something. And what causes you to do something is a mindset, right? I can absolutely admire Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. There is a very similar pattern between both of those men. Action. The mindset is causing the action, right? When they don't feel like doing, they still do, right? When there is a what should happen, what could happen, there is a this is what I can do, right? When you're dealing with rejection, when you're dealing with loss, it is so much healthier to think about the things that you can do and then do them. Because otherwise now you're sitting on outlook, right? I'm going to take death as an example, because I know this is a very hard topic to talk about, especially when it's your loved ones. But I personally don't shy away from harsh or hard topics. They're actually my favorite topics, because that's where real growth is in these cemented concrete places of our life. When someone dies, you absolutely have to take into account what is happening. And that is so hard. It is so hard to do, to understand you will be without this person for the rest of your days. And you have such a great love. And the reason you have such a great love is because of the things that this person has done with you or for you, right? There was such a great relationship, but now they are no longer here. What are we going to do? And there is a period of time where you absolutely have to take care of yourself. You absolutely have to be selfish. But what's paralyzing is sitting in the sorrow that continuously says he or she should not be dead. This is what I could have done to save their life. Oh, if I would have picked up the phone one more time. That is a paralyzing state. Nobody really wants to talk about that because it's hard. It don't feel good. Wham. That's where I'm at with this. The only thing you can do is take a step forward, right? Yes, this person that you love passed away and you wish you could have. From that point on, you can either make a decision to do what you wish you could have done for others that are still alive, or for yourself that is still alive, or sulk, right? And what I'm witnessing is a lot of people have created a nest in sulking. They have created a nest in sorrow. They have created a nest. I'm gonna say it like this. They've made a home out of sorrow. They've made a home out of sadness. That is now their new normal. And that's the second reason I'm very vexed about outlooks and perspective, is because they are paralyzing. And then once you are paralyzed, you become blind. You don't realize that you are depressed, but you are living a depressed life, right? You don't realize what is happening around you has not moved in days, weeks, months, years, or decades, because you are absolutely convinced that things should not have happened. And that's the only thing that you can think about or talk about. And here's why I bring it up and I want to post this. When you're that deep in to where that perspective or outlook has control over what you're doing, there's almost no getting out. It has now become the weight, right? It's become normal. It's become so comfortable to constantly say, oh, this should have happened or would have happened. It drains you. And that is now comfy, right? The emotional high and low of either being pessimistic or optimistic drains the necessary strength from your body. It quite literally does, to take a step in the right direction. My mom is in her 70s, wants to go back to the gym. And the hardest part for getting back and challenging yourself is the very first, I got to go to the gym. That's the hardest part. Once you're there, your mind changes and accepts that you're at the gym. That's why it's more important for me to talk about what is, because the battle was before what is. But she often would tell me that she doesn't feel like going, right? And I hope we're really eating this, and I hope this encourages you. You don't feel like going. The location, I'm going to break it down for you, and then I'm done. She doesn't feel like going, right? She's in her room. She's in her bedroom thinking how she should go. It is great. It is great. She needs it for her body to feel strong. But in her mind, she has thought out the process of getting to the gym, and it is draining. It doesn't feel good. Pause right there. Pause right there. That concept applies to everything. She is in her bedroom thinking that now she's got to get up, she's got to shower, she's got to go down the stairs, get in the car, right? Our brain does that with discomfort. Anything that's discomfort, right? So it doesn't matter whether you're pessimistic or optimistic. When it's not familiar to you, that's discomfort. When it's not familiar to you, you think of every possible thing that you don't want to do. And that paralyzes you. Most people fail right there, right? Oh, having to get up and do this and do that and do this. It feels better if I just lay in bed. And watch this. This is why I get very upset at conversations, especially with people in leadership about stuff like this, is what we will do next is compensate, right? So in this example with my mom, I won't go to the gym. I'll just have a salad. That does not replace the strength you gain at the gym. I know I'm making sense. It doesn't replace that. It actually makes the next time you go to the gym harder, because you're back a day or a week or a month or a year. Why? Because time is constant. That's a realistic thing. You can take today off if you want to. You just made tomorrow harder. Think about all of the dreams and ambitions and things that you wanted to do that you wish you did. It's now harder than ever to start them now than it was when you first had the youth and the strength and the motivation and the emotional fuel that came with it. It's absolutely harder. I'm sitting here doing this podcast, telling you, talking like this into the camera is 100% harder. It's 100% harder, because when I should have started it, I would have been 200 topics, 200 episodes in. But I had to get real about myself, right? My mother had to get real about herself and said, I thought I said I wanted strength. I got to go to the gym despite how I feel. Okay, that was step one, right? So step two, you actually begin to do. This is what I hope you take away from this episode. You begin to do. You get out of bed, right? You push yourself to go to the bathroom and take the shower and go downstairs and get in the car. And when she asked me, Kenny, what do you do when you don't want to go to the gym? I say, I just murmur and complain until I get there. Here is why. All you got to do is get there. That is the message for this. All you have to do is get there. It is so important, even if for those that want to lose weight, right? I'm trying to think and talk at the same time of conceptually how I want to share this. If you want to lose weight, the first step is just going to the gym. Don't touch anything. Just get used to getting up and go. And then if you don't want to go inside, turn back around and go home. I'm so serious. That works. If you want to create content, just get the gear. Turn on the camera and then turn it back off. Don't say anything, right? Turn on, watch the video about your idea, and then that's it. Don't do anything else. I'm telling you, that's all it takes. What I'm doing, or what I'm explaining to you, is seeding, right? It's breadcrumbing, but in a positive way, right? You're giving yourself little bitty steps. And what it does, it causes you to become hungry, right? A form of elevating your metabolism for food is to actually eat smaller portions more often, because your stomach, your body begins to search for that food source constantly, and then begins to eat the calories constantly. And then when you don't feed the body, it doesn't mean the body didn't eat. It just means the body now starts to look at other sources of food, because why? I'm getting used to eating, right? So I told my mother, just start going. Don't touch a weight. Don't get on the treadmill. You don't even got to go through the door. Just go. And she told me this is what happened when she went. She said, when I got in the parking lot and I wanted to turn around and go home, I thought it would make no sense if I came all this way to do nothing. I guess I'll just go on the treadmill for at least 5 minutes and then I'll go home. That is step 2. That's the most important step, because now my mom in this example is in the gym. She's on the treadmill and she's just walking. She's not running. She's not lifting any weights, no nothing. She's just walking. Why? Because I spent all the time in step 1, right? And it already went to the emotional toil to not want to be here. Now that I'm here, I might as well be okay, right? I might as well just do something. 5 minutes turned into 25 minutes and her sweating, right? It's been such a long time going to the gym, right? The tolerance is very low. So it doesn't take that much to feel the strength required, right, to start sweating. But she said after she finished and came back to the car, she said she was so proud of herself for going to the gym, and she did not realize that it had been almost a half hour. And I want people to understand that the very first problem is the paralyzing idea of how you should look at life. You don't know anything. You're talking in hypotheticals. You're thinking this place should, or you should, or could, or would. That's hypothetical. It is imaginatory. It does not do something for you in this moment, except steal your time and your emotional energy to where you're lying in bed saying, I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to look for a new job. I don't want to go out and meet new people because I want new friends. I don't want to. It keeps you paralyzed. Why? Because the current state of you is weak. The current state of you is not good, right? The current state is you're still in a ditch, right? You're qualifying so many things that say, well, if somebody want to be my friend, they better approach me, right? It's this paralyzing outlook of what optimism and pessimism has done. It keeps you where you are. Right now, you're walking through life dictating that the world, the universe, God owes you, and that there is no work or effort required. I'm going to say it like this, that there's no hope or faith required. You should just receive. You should receive because of the pain you've been through. And I'm here to tell you that the pain that you're feeling is probably self-inflicted. You did this to yourself. So why does other people owe you something for something you did to you? It doesn't, right? That's the realism. Nobody likes staying in that lane right there. It's realistic to say no one owes you anything, regardless of what has been done to you. But what ends up happening is that if you start to take steps in the right direction, you start to link up with people, places, and things that serve the purpose of getting out of the ditch, right? The first place of knowing you're in the ditch is acceptance. And then you call for help and say, it don't matter how you help me, get me out of here. And all of a sudden, some random person pulls off the side of the road and say, now I can't get your car, but I can get you. Hey, I'm gonna help you out the ditch. You can use my phone. We're gonna call 911, and I'm not leaving your side until we get you home. This is a random stranger, right? This is how the world operates. That's the realistic things of the world. That when you take the steps in the right direction, you become aligned with those steps, because it's the same thing, right? Consequences is just the result thereof. Don't think of consequences as always something when you do something wrong. That's the connotation of consequences. Consequences is just simply a result of an action. So when you take bad actions and you constantly stay in bed and you constantly allow yourself to emotionally be in sorrow, to mentally be in sorrow, to physically be in sorrow, to spiritually be in sorrow, you reap the consequences of that. Nothing, right? Your situation begins to deteriorate. It gets worse because now there's nothing happening. I want you to understand that the opposite of growth is decay. There is no middle line. And being optimistic or pessimistic has sold you a lie that there's something in the middle. That's like people that try to tell me there's a such thing as purgatory. You want to believe that because that exonerates you of every consequence of your action. That at some point you'll wake up and the lottery ticket for the mega ball 500 million will just be in your mailbox. That doesn't happen, right? This is a different episode that I'll do next. But me personally, I don't believe in miracles. I believe in obedience. But I don't believe in miracles. I don't believe in something just falling out of the sky with my name on it. I had to do something to acquire this. And that's more important than whether the glass is half full or the glass is half empty. Where is the water at? I need to go to the water. That's the only thing that matters. Where is the water? So I can fill my glass. People that are starving do not care the type of food that they need to eat. They're starving. And there's nothing more frustrating than somebody starving being picky, because what I'm giving you is maybe all I have. And you said you were starving, so you're going to eat. But many of us have lied to ourselves to say that we're starving, but we're just being picky, right? We're just qualifying everything. Now we think all these boundaries that our have is helping us, when in reality it's just created a wall around us where nothing can get in or out. This fist, a closed fist, receives nothing. An open hand can give and receive anything. And you dictate what that is, right? So if my mother can get in the car and say she was proud of herself because of the whole journey, I'm here to encourage you that being realistic does better for your future than whatever garbage you're trying to sell me. Where, Kenny, you should think differently. Kenny, you should talk differently. No. I'm getting through life a little bit quicker than you because I'm constantly obsessing over what is. What is right here in this area of my life is not good. I need to work on that, right? What is in this other area may be good. I need to keep up the good work, et cetera, et cetera. I'm only worried about what is. Why? Because the next step is going to be in the right direction because I'm focused on the step in front of me. You cannot drive your car looking backwards. You also can't drive your car trying to look way ahead. You drive your car presently. You drive your life presently. You take things one day at a time, right? As I've coached and mentored people, it's 1% better every day because the previous behavior was 1% less every day. And that's just decaying, right? When you do nothing, you still eat. Right, as an example, right? You don't got to buy no groceries. Eventually, the fridge is going to be empty, right? And then you're going to complain, there should be food in this fridge. Someone should come put the food in my fridge. It's so stupid that no one puts the food in my fridge. You're still eating, right? That's an idea of decay. You're still eating. But I want you to be encouraged that being a realist and being a little bit harder on yourself about what you got to do, what you need to do, what you should be doing will only push you in the right direction. And if anything, you just need to start taking the steps in the direction. You eventually start going on by yourself, right? Now my mom goes to the gym all the time and her stays match her schedule, right? Now it's bare minimum a half hour, sometimes a 45 minutes to an hour. Now she's instead of the treadmill, she'll go up and down some stairs. She'll lift some weights, right? She'll do some bicep curls. She would have never got there if she had indulged the feeling of, I don't want to go. I'm going to stay in bed and read my Bible, and eat a salad, and that's still a good day. I'm here to tell you, every time you cope like that, every time you compensate like that, it's still a bad day. You still decayed. You still did not push yourself one more step closer to the goal. So it was a bad day. And that's okay. What are you going to do about it tomorrow, though? How are you going to set yourself up for the next day, though? That's the most important thing. Okay, cool. You messed up the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years of your life. What are you going to do tomorrow? Right? If you're going to check today off as a wash and the Lord grants you another day to wake up, what are you going to do tomorrow to make that day better than the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years? I don't care how old you are listening to this. 1% better every day will eventually outdo your mistakes, because growth happens faster than decay when all of the elements are involved, right? I want you to understand, and then I'm done. It takes longer than you think to kill a plant, right? A plant has to go without water and sunlight and vitamins, nutrients for a very long time before it withers. But with constant sunlight, the appropriate amount of water, and the fertilizer, it can grow very rapidly. You can absolutely bring a plant back to life that is not completely dead by pruning, sunlight, water, and fertilizer. You study it. And I want you to see yourself like a plant. I want you to see yourself like a tree. I want you to see yourself as some of these things in life that show you what growth is, but we don't pay attention to it because we want to sit here and argue about tone, delivery, and outlook and perspective. Obsess over that, how you can take the next step, what you should and should not eat, stuff like that. Obsess over that. But this is a very strong message, not just to those that are in my life to get up and do, but to the people that I have trusted to be of influence over me, to mentor and coach. I know what I'm doing when I tell you we're going to focus about what is, because there's a sense of urgency about time and what is in this moment. We do not have the time to talk about perspective, outlook. We do not have the time to debate point of view. Do something. And that's all this is. You're not expected to reach the goal tomorrow. You're expected to take one more step. Every single person in sports was not a champion when they got drafted. They had to keep playing. They had to keep practicing. I told a young man the other day, you're in high school. How many days do you practice? 5 to 6. When are game days? Saturdays. Why? He said, I don't know. I said, no. Think. Why do you practice every day for one game? So that the game is easy. So that when it's time to get in front of people, when it's time to go against an adversary, when it's time to go against an enemy, someone who's the opposite of you, victory is easy. Why? I know I practice harder than you. And I told him, I said, the only reason why I have this confidence is that behind the scenes, I know I work harder than you. And if I were to take a glimpse of you working harder than me, I'd kick it up another notch. I'd find a way to kick it up another notch, right? So it's in the preparation. It's in the moments where nobody's going to see you working on yourself that create those moments that you're looking for, where you want to not only make yourself proud, but you want to make your friends and your family and your loved ones proud. I hope you gain something from this to take the step. Remember, my mother did not want to get out of bed. But when she got in the car, this is the only thing that matters. I promise you, it's the only thing that matters. When she got to the gym and wanted to turn around, she said, well, now that I'm here, I might as well do something. There it is. From there, it just takes off. From there, you just blink and you're doing better than what you thought, because the hardest part was the war emotionally that you went through to just begin. It is a war. It's draining. And being a pessimistic or optimistic is the same warfare with a different title and name on it that is paralyzing you from just beginning, from just starting. And then your mindset is what keeps you in it. It's a mindset that is a form of consistency. But we can't get there if we don't ever start. What good is a car that doesn't start? What good is it? It has no value. But if the car runs and the engine sounds good, you start looking at the rest of the car a little bit different. You start saying, it might not cost that much to do this, this, and this, and maybe I could do this first and become mobile. And if I can get mobile, I can get to the job. I do this, and then I can fix this on the car. Your brain switches from, oh no, the car doesn't have any value, to there's something here. We can make it happen. So I hope that you not only finish listening to this episode, but I hope that you finish listening to this episode, preparing and start to prepare yourself to take the very first step in the right direction. And the right direction is uncomfortable. You've never done it before. You don't want to do it. It emotionally feels horrible. It's not going to feel good. I have a way to think that I would love for this first episode of my podcast to be filmed in this beautiful studio where I have all the professional equipment, blah, 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 blah. Guess what? I don't got it. What is most important is that my voice is out here, that I begin to talk like this on a more consistent basis, that I start to upload on a more consistent basis. That way, the people that need me and want me will find me. And this areas of my life that I struggle in, I will now have the resources and the support to change that. But none of that happens if I just lay in bed another day, play the game, relax, and then just go to work my hours and get paid and never do anything and hope that the job would promote me and give me another raise so that I could live a better life, right? I'm giving my power away when I do that, but I take my power back when I invest in the gifts and the skills that God has gave me. And despite what I may want or need, I push for them anyway, right? I take the steps, because now when I take the step one and I upload this to the various platforms, I'm going to see the comments, and the comments are going to tell me to do it some more. And now I'm going to blink and I'll have many episodes. So I hope that you take the right steps for yourself, whatever it may be, whether it's for your depression, for your suicidal tendencies, something as simple as looking for a job, something as simple as going to the gym and losing some weight. It is, the warfare emotionally is the same. And that's the only thing that matters, is that we get real about it. Is a real war to admit that you're in a ditch. And it's a war to just allow yourself to deal with that. You don't want to, you shouldn't have to, right? All those things are true. You shouldn't, you wouldn't, you couldn't. But guess what? You're in it. It is what it is. And it will only get better if you realistically look at it and do something about it.